cheering me on.
Oh, man, kidding? I love that. I mean, because you're giving what I... Any light heavyweights go home. Okay, 159 when you roll. Listen, this is Ocean State Nationals. This is the second event that I'm participating this year after not fighting since '96. Reason being the circuit's changed quite a bit, you know. 10 years ago, we were getting paid $1,000. Now we get paid a fraction of that. The quality of the fighting has changed. Where we used to throw techniques that were quality, and now they fighting like what we consider little girls. And this is the 30 to 39 division. You're going to have a variety of weight categories. I think the lightweight's going to happen first. But generally speaking, at an event like this with well over 1,000 competitors, we will not get compensated even a fraction of what we deserve. And today, hopefully, we get an opportunity to speak to quite a few of the competitors and let them know, not let them know, basically let the audience know a little history, because we have what I would consider legends right around. And most of the children don't even know. Just last night, I was asking one of the children that played basketball. I said, hey, you ever heard of Dr. J? And the kid said, of course I heard of Dr. J. He's also a martial artist, and I asked him, have you ever heard of Scorpion Barrage, since you come from Chicago? The kid didn't even know who Scorpion Barrage was, and he's a martial artist. Basically, what's happened is that the generation gap and the lack of history in sport karate has completely made people like us obsolete. He's one of the top fighters right now in the 30-39 division, Joe Dawson. He's the perfect example of how what we did was we switched over to, they got a new division, the 30-39 division. And it isn't that they chased us out because we couldn't win, because myself and him and a bunch of other guys, how did we do in that division? We took care of that division. We used to beat them, so now the same thing's gonna happen now. Anytime we go, I mean, basically they got rid of the veterans, so the younger kids can win. And that's what I believe. I don't know what you think about that. I feel that. That's probably the truth. So what's going to happen today, like a lot of the stuff is not going to be, none of this is pre-set up. You know, we're going to improv. Felix Cortez is another guy. Felix is another guy. He's fighting the 30-39 division. And you know, we're the generation that pretty much has been forgotten, so to speak, in the fact that half of the stuff these kids do, they looked at us and they copied what we did. And in the meantime, you know, they don't even remember or even know that we got paid a lot more money 10 years ago, right? For doing what we're doing right now. And an event like this, like I mentioned before, wonderful event, but we ain't gonna get paid. Maybe we didn't get paid before. What do you think about that?
A lot of more exposure and a lot of more spectators at that time. What we need to do now, like Jerry said, educate the spectators so the sport can grow. We can take it to a new level. We can educate the spectators on how points are scored, how competitors do to score the points, what are the techniques that are done. They'll be more interested in the sport because they understand more about it. Just like if you don't understand the rules of football and you just watch a bunch of guys knocking heads, it's kind of like, you know, what's going on? These people are just hitting heads and just knocking heads. You know, what's going on? They don't understand the rules. Same thing with karate. If you understand the rules, why this guy fell and he scored a point and so on, then the people will appreciate the sport more and the sport will grow.
Yeah, it's not just the sparring aspect. There's another thing called forms, which is imaginary fighting. I don't know if any of that's going on right now, but what we're going to do, we're just going to walk around and see if we can find some forms competitors, you know? I mean, this place is packed with what I would consider legends, you know, and demigods, there's quite a few people. And this is Kevin Thomas, he's one of the guys, too, that, you know, 30-39 division, and we were actually beating guys, and so they moved us out.
Absolutely.
It isn't like we got beat up, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Isn't that true?
Without a doubt.
They moved, they came up with this new 30-30.
As you know, not only youth, but strength and education is in the 30 and 39 and over.
You know what I was just, I like to call these guys veterans, right? Because we got some experience upon them. But what I was saying to the camera was, with the audience, was the simple fact that I asked a little kid, basketball player, hey, you know about Dr. J? He said, yeah, I know Dr. J. But he was also a martial artist who lived in Chicago. I asked him about Scorpion Barrage.
If we could disturb...
And he didn't know. Of course, Kevin has to compete, but maybe later on we'll get a chance to catch him, you know? And move around. But there's quite a few people here that again, you know, you're standing next to them, you don't think they're a big deal. But to me, it's important that everybody knows. I stopped competing in 1996 because I got bored. I was actually beating guys that were like 10 years younger than me. And that happened to quite a few of us, you know? So it's a big tournament, over 1,000 competitors. You got some of the fighting that's going on right now over here. And maybe this is the lightweight division or something. And as you can see, they'll have techniques that don't look like karate.
Ready, go! Right. Ready, call. Here, 1 point here. Go!
That you wouldn't expect karate would do. For example, techniques like so, with the hands open and people throwing themselves on the floor. Not what you would expect, but what happened is that the sport is taking such a turn to the negative that that's the norm nowadays. The children follow that nonsense. That's one of the reasons why we're not getting paid, because the quality has dissipated so much that the average spectator is confused. They're not even entertained no more by the fighting. You know, hopefully that won't happen here, but let's take a look at this fight here. Let's see what happens. These guys are pretty cool, you know. I mean, 30 years old is not someone who's old, per se, but these guys, well, no, not DK, I'm talking about Point Karate. Point Karate was on ESPN. It was in Madison Square Garden, and we used to get paid $2,500. Not much, but this was back in 1985, 86, 87. And now in the 1990s, almost in the new millennium, we're getting paid a fraction, meaning we're getting paid $300 for a grand. I don't know about you, but I don't think that makes sense. And, what I'm doing here is wrapping my hands up. My division hasn't started till probably about 2 divisions or 3 after this. I'm fighting at the light heavy. These hand wraps are extremely important, reason being that you want to protect your wrist and your knuckles. And not like boxing, because we don't tape up, but this is for the purpose of not hitting harder, but protecting my own hand, because the joints were not made to take that pounding. But quite a few of the fighters don't even wear this, you know, they just don't know. So the biggest challenge with this industry is probably lack of education. Right now we're going to see, I would like you to see, this is Kevin Thomas, one of the top fighters of all time, the guy in the black and white.
Let's go, boy. Yeah. Second round.
Example. He got up to him, but he didn't hit him. He blitzed him, but he didn't hit him. Judges just go on the influence. The guy's rated top fighter. He didn't need Again, they're making a big deal out of nothing, you know. I mean, as you can see, if you rewind this tape, you see nothing happen. You see what happens now. He's faking him.
Move. Get on that movement, boy. Get on your movement. Where's that angle, Kevin? Get on that. Yes, sir. That's what's hard to go. That's what's hard to see.
All right. The guy getting inside has know how to use that.
He fell. Yes, sir.
He's been rated for a decade and a half. See how he was saying, angles, that's the most important thing. He's trying to say, don't stand there, move to the left and the right. Fighters nowadays don't know how to do that, but Kevin Thomas does. But right now he's getting into a little habit, a little bad. Hopefully it works out.
Nope. Nice body shot.
You're making a good point. Do you believe that's the truth, that the influence happens sometimes? So say it, speak your piece.
Absolutely. I see team members, whether it's forms, fighting, or doing weapons forms, what happens is the team members come over and surround the ring, and it's an influential thing on the judges, and that's just the way it is now.
And that's not fair. It seems like nowadays you need a uniform just to get a fair break. A team uniform, that is. I remember guys fighting Marty Eubanks, the guy in the blue, one of the top fighters.
Right there, Marty.
Whatever. Marty's been fighting since he was a peewee, meaning below 10 years old, all the way now to over the 30 division. And not just fighting, but winning. And if you can see, I mean, his techniques are pretty basic in terms of not flash, but they have quality as opposed to all the yelling and screaming and missing of techniques like you might see in the younger division. So this is what I would like to consider the seasoned veterans. Right? Not seniors, and you see some quality stuff, but I'll wrap my hands up and hopefully you guys can get to see some pretty decent stuff. But I think that we make sure we see Felix Cortez fight, because this guy is one of the few, along with Marty and also Kevin Thompson, who of KA, who was fighting before, that are versatile in doing fighting forms and weapons. Not too many people do that, and these two guys do it. But trying to get my fight mind going on over here. So the hand wrap again, extremely important. Most people don't know how to wrap their hands. Highly recommended. I sidestepped him. Hit him with a reverse punch. While the hand in, I bring into an uppercut. But last time I don't see it. They said it was at the same time, but look at him. Take a look. All right, so basically... Question to be okay.
It's like it's just...
You sure it's not cut over across?
No, it's fine. There you go. There you go. He doesn't want to fight, and I don't blame him, because I'm only warming up. 1, 2, 3! Oh! That's right! The whole thing! The whole thing! Yes! It ain't my fault, it's my mother's fault. Thank you, Ma. biggest difference is that before, if you fell to the floor, they never gave you a point. Right, Mr. Rogers? Tell him, Larry Rogers. Tell him.
You're right. You're right.
Listen.
I'm wanted in a few states.
All they have to do is make sure that they stay on their feet.
There you go.
Otherwise, you have no control. That's one of the reasons. I mean, you didn't see me for. How can somebody hurt you if they threw a technique and fell down? Now, again, that's why the sport pays less. What I mean by less is that tonight's grand champion will be $300. In 1985, our grand champion was $5,000. Over a decade ago. And what it is, it's frustrating. But I understand, because it's the low quality of fighting.
You may claim your prize money right now as an individual. First place winners of black belt forms and black belt weapons. You may claim your prize money with Christine Rodriguez as an individual.
That's Jerry Button, you know that? That's Jerry Button.
That's my boy, Hector Delgado. Maybe you could say a few words. There's a guy I know for many, many years.
Oh,
Ask him
no.
the two questions up for real.
That's Jerry Fontanez. I know him since he was 13 years old.
Yes, Steve, that's all. Nice kid.
Let's find out how they're going to do.
We got Cayman Islands, we got Florida. These guys are pretty good. Chances are I'll fight one of them for first place. That's right. Ready over there? Here we go again, huh? All right, you ready? Woo! Let's go. Let's get it up. Get it up. Get it up. I've been no team. I don't get no, what you would consider advantages. The truth. They're trying to stop me for years. They never put me on none of these teams. But I always beat them. Alone. I don't need no help from people. The technique don't go in their lives. That's no reason to get paid more money.
Mike, can you get rid of these people for me, please? Just bottom out, get rid of them. I don't want any more. The show's over, Jerry. The show's over.
I'm not. It's over. The show is over, so we're done. We will cut it off. That's the promoter.
Jerry, we're getting
Okay, no problem. Now, let me explain what's happening right now. We're gonna sit down and talk.
All right, all
See,
fighters, going up.
these are the powers that be. And what they're doing is...
Wait, we're done.
Yeah, but we can see what's
All 199 and below.
They're afraid to hear the truth, but everybody will know the truth.
First place winners in adult black belt.
Also in third place, Jason
Adult black belt weapons. Ring number 10 immediately.
Second place, Steve Babcock. First place, Jerry Fontenelle.
Thank you.
Big guy.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Ready in line? Everybody pay their attention bound. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you for watching. Now let's talk. Let's talk. Come over here. Yes. Come on, take the grand. Yeah, take it. Let's talk. Come over here. What did you just notice? Can you just break down exactly what the sugar crossing? One of the most emulated, not duplicated, martial arts of all time. Master sugar crossing.
Yeah, well, you know, as I saw Jerry Fast with Fontanez is always one of the old-timers who was moving form, speed, balance, power, technique, gracefulness, and the confidence was there. The movement was immaculate. You know, it was like poetry in motion. And like I'm one of the old-timers, one of the old-time schoolboys from the old days, so to speak. But what makes the difference between Fontanez and these new and upcoming fighters is that he thinks, not only is he skillful physically, but he's skillful mentally, and he thinks on how to move. He thinks about what his next move is, and it's like a natural reaction. So, you know, I mean, I'm looking forward to this later on. This is like kind of like a Leonard Hearns type thing. The movement, the speed, the power, the technique. Ooh, too much. I'm out of here.
It was pretty cool, right?
I'm a little crazy, but it's okay, right?
See you guys in November. Come back.
Oh, man. This is not our drinks. I do not drink alcohol. I am non-alcohol. I'm a non-alcohol drinker, closer together.
Jerry, I was pretty impressed the way you handled yourself on stage today, you know, this evening. Especially when they put up the music and you started dancing. I think the crowd loved it.
That's entertaining.
But they had to cut you off because you were stealing the show.
It doesn't matter. The way I see it is, life is short. We gotta have a good time and entertain people. And most people are just so uptight. I mean, I don't understand that. I believe that the purpose of performing is for the spectators in addition to yourself. I'm a fan also. I would cheer as loud as anybody else, but somewhere along the line, people just don't like when people have a good time.
Well, you know, you make a point because I was with some people that were watching and that didn't understand what's going on. And I was telling them, I said, you see, right about now, not everyone, you were saying 1, 2, 3, oh, not everybody was saying it. A couple people here, a couple people there. I told them, I said, before the match is over, the whole crowd is going to be going, hold. And the ones that don't say hold, they're going to say boo.
And they're involved.
And they're involved.
Mission
And that's part
accomplished.
of the show.
And that's the bottom line. I remember a story about Muhammad Ali and the older lady. This lady went to all of Ali's fights. And one day, Ali finally got to talk to her because he recognized that she was always in the ringside.
Right.
And he goes over, he said, man, I noticed that you are always in my fights. And she said, yeah, and I'm going to keep coming to that whip your butt. But she still came. So it really doesn't matter. You know, the kids love this.
You know, and that was the most impressive part. On stage, you did a show. On stage, you know, you played your part, whether it's the good guy or the bad guy. You played the part, and everybody has a part, you know. But then when the show was over, you know, you explain to the kids, you explain to the fans, hey, you know, I was up there having fun. It was a show. This is what the part that I played. But, you know, you guys, you be successful in whatever it is that you do, whether it's martial arts or not. And then the kids were loving it. And they're all coming up for autographs, and it was great.
Imagine karate with no kids. Tell me, that's the most important thing.
That's the future
Imagine
of America.
our schools with no kids. I mean, we would have a very limited market like it was years ago, and I agree with you. But, you know, I'm a little tired. It's about midnight right now, but, you know, what's wonderful about these events, even though, I mean, if you can see, I got hit in my eye over here, and what it really was an elbow in the first match. And it's a mistake, you know, things like that happen, but the way I see it is that we're at risk, martial artists, as much as any sports figure. And only difference that we don't get compensated nearly the amount of money that other people get compensated in other sports. And a documentary like this one is extremely important. No one outside of the industry is going to support it, so we got to do it ourselves.
It's extremely important, especially because what it does, this type of film, is that it educates the spectator. The spectators look at this and say, why did that guy get a point? And we explain, this is why it happens. These are the rules, this is how it goes, and this is what happens. And that's the best thing about this, a type of movie like this.